Sure. Here's a summary of Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Edwin Lefèvre, published 1923. It's widely considered a classic on trading psychology, market behavior, and speculation, useful even a century later. Wikipedia. What is the book about? Reminiscences is a roman à clef, a fictional-style memoir. The narrator is Larry Livingston, loosely based on real-life trader Jesse Livermore. Wikipedia. The book traces Livingston's journey from a young bucket shop speculator through his rise and fall on the real stock exchange to his involvement in large-scale market operations manipulation. Wikipedia. It's equal parts biography, cautionary tale, and trading psychology strategy guide. Key themes and lessons. Here are major insights and recurring lessons from the book, many still quoted by traders today. The market has no memory. Nothing is new on Wall Street. Open quote. There is nothing new in Wall Street. Whatever happens has happened before and will happen again. RyanDelaney.co. Respect the market. Never argue with the market tape. If price action disagrees with your view, the market is usually right. Trying to fight it or rationalize a reversal is often costly. Patience and discipline matter more than frequent trading. Livingston's big gains often came from sitting on a good position and waiting, not from frequent trades. Overtrading, especially out of boredom or impatience, is risky. Super summary. Cut losses quickly. Let winners run. One of the most recurring maxims, avoid trying to average down losing positions or hold hope that a bad trade will turn around. Conversely, once a trade works out, let it ride rather than prematurely locking in small profits. Super summary. Risk management and self-reliance over tips and rumors. The book warns strongly against relying on tips, rumors, or inside information. Instead, make decisions based on your own analysis and the market's behavior. Over-leveraging or emotionally driven trades can lead to ruin. Book rags. Understand psychology. Markets are driven by human emotions, greed, fear, herd mentality, panic. Those underlie price swings. Successful traders observe and interpret crowd behavior rather than just numbers. Emotional control often matters more than technical analysis. StockMarketLearnEnglish.com. Speculation, investing. Know what you're doing. The book draws a distinction. Speculation involves short-term bets on market moves, higher risk, higher reward. Investing implies longer-term growth with fundamentals. Recognize which you're doing and adopt the appropriate mindset strategy. Osgerzon.com, close quote. Warnings, risks, and downsides. The story of Livingston is full of dramatic crashes and losses, repeated boom and bust cycles. The book shows how overconfidence, overleverage, impatience, or naive trust in hot tips often lead to ruin. cdn.britannica.com. Also, the market environment of the early 1900s was very different. Regulations were lax, bucket shops, and outright manipulations were common. Some strategies described may not be ethical or legal today. Wikipedia. Thus, while many timeless lessons remain, readers should adapt them carefully to modern market structure and regulation. Who should read it and why it still matters? Aspiring traders, investors, to understand the psychology of markets, the importance of discipline, risk management, and emotional control. People interested in financial history offers a peek into how markets worked and how wild they were in the early 20th century. Anyone curious about decision-making under uncertainty, the book's lessons on self-awareness, patience, and avoiding herd mentality can apply beyond finance. Despite being nearly a century old, much of it still resonates because human behavior, greed, fear, herd instinct seldom changes, even if markets now have algorithms and high-frequency trading. Here is a clear, structured, chapter-by-chapter summary of Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, 1923. It focuses on the events, lessons, and psychology of Jesse Livermore-based Larry Livingston. Chapter-by-chapter summary, short, sharp, and faithful to the book's flow. Chapter 1, Early Bucket Shop Days, Story. Livingston begins as a teenager trading in bucket shops, fake stock exchanges where you bet against the house. He discovers he has a natural gift for reading price movements, the tape, becomes known as Boy Plunger. Key lessons. Tape reading, tips. Method must match the market environment. Early success creates overconfidence, later trouble. Chapter 2, First Big Failures, Story. After cleaning out bucket shops, Livingston tries trading in real exchanges but loses. Why? The real market behaves differently from bucket shops: slippage, manipulation, liquidity. Key lessons. A strategy that works in one environment can fail in another. Market structure matters. Chapter 3, Learning the Market's Nature Story. Livingston cycles between wins and total wipeouts. Learns that impulse trading and impatience cause repeated ruin. Key lessons. A man must believe in himself but not be in love with himself. Market will humble you until you become disciplined. Chapter 4, Speculation versus Gambling. Story. Livingston joins a major brokerage, tries to follow tips from insiders, learns many insiders are either wrong or have ulterior motives. Key lessons. Tips is poison. A trader must operate from his own judgment and market behavior. Chapter 5, Becoming a Professional Operator. Story. Livingston begins trading larger sums. He realizes trend is more important than trying to guess the top. Key lessons. Trend following principle. It was never my thinking that made the big money. It was always my sitting. Patience and staying with the trend create the largest profits. Chapter 6, Respecting the Tape Story. Livingston bets on breakouts, tests the validity of price movements. He refines a method, wait for confirmation, then strike. Key lessons. Don't anticipate the market. Buy when the market shows strength, not when you merely hope. Chapter 7, Manipulators and Pool Story. He starts dealing with market operators who run pools to push stocks, learns how large operators accumulate and distribute quietly. Key lessons. Large traders never show their hand. The market does not telegraph its punches. Chapter 8, First Market Campaign Story. Livingston participates in orchestrated moves, realizes manipulation can temporarily move prices, but the main trend always wins. Key lessons. Market forces, individual manipulation. Never underestimate the larger trend. Chapter 9, Big Wins, the short of 1907 story. Livingston short sells heavily into the panic of 1907, executes the trade of his life at that point, but gives a lot of it back due to overconfidence afterward. Key lessons. Huge profits often lead to psychological weakness. After winning big, be even more cautious. Chapter 10, How He Plans Trades Story. He reveals his method. 1. Identify the overall market direction. 2. Pick the strongest stock in a strong market or the weakest in a weak market. 3. Pyramid positions only when proven right. Key lessons. Add to winners, not losers. Pyramiding works only in strong trends. Chapter 11, The Psychology Chapter Story. Livingston analyzes how emotions destroy traders. Talks about fear, greed, boredom, ego, and hope. Key lessons. The market is never wrong. Opinions often are. Emotional neutrality is a superpower. Chapter 12, The First Bankruptcy Story. He goes bankrupt due to overtrading and ignoring his own rules. Learns that even experience cannot overcome bad habits. Key lessons. Discipline is everything. Breaking rules equals guaranteed loss. Chapter 13, Restarting with Nothing Story. Forced to rebuild small account from nothing. He discovers that small accounts require very strict discipline. Key lessons. Small accounts equal small risks, no impulsive bets. The market gives unlimited opportunities if you stay alive. Chapter 14, Second Big Market Campaign Story. Livingston returns and begins operating with large size again. Learns the costs of trying to outsmart manipulators. Key lessons. Never trade what you think should happen. Trade what is happening. Chapter 15, Cotton Trade Disaster Story. He bets heavily against the cotton position of Daniel Sully, a market giant. Livingston loses heavily and painfully. Key lessons. Never challenge a whale trader head-to-head. Your ego is your greatest enemy. Chapter 16, Rebuilding Again Story. Another bankruptcy. But he commits to absolute discipline. Learns how to enter only high-probability setups. Key lessons. Your method must evolve, but your discipline must be absolute. Long-term survival. Short-term brilliance. Chapter 17, His Mature Trading Philosophy Story. Livingston reveals his secret. He waits for the market to confirm his idea, then increases position size only when the market proves him right. Key lessons. Be right and sit tight. Great fortunes come from waiting, not constant trading. Chapter 18, Panic of 1914 and Later Successes. Story. The book nears his final major campaigns. He becomes one of the most respected operators on Wall Street. Key lessons. Crashes are predictable if you watch behavior, not news. Mastery equals understanding cycles of human psychology. Chapter 19, Final Reflections. Story. Livingston summarizes decades of insight, warns of the eternal cycles of greed, fear, repeats his core philosophy: discipline, patience, trend, confirmation, and emotional neutrality. Key lessons. The game never changes, because people never change. A trader's success is 80% psychology, 20% method. Want an ultra-condensed summary of the trading rules he lived by? I can give you a single-page Livermore Rules checklist, something you can literally print or save for trading.